Welcome to the Medical Ethics Podcast.
My name's Aaliyah.
I'm Karina Boots.
My name is Ben.
And today we are going to be connecting Maslow's hierarchy of needs to a moral value. So we're going to first sum up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the order goes: first, physiological needs need to be met, then safety, next is love and belonging, next is esteem, and the top tier is self-actualization. And the lower levels must be met first in order to reach the higher levels. And the order of the levels is not completely fixed. For some, esteem outweighs love, while others may self-actualize despite poverty. And our behaviors are usually motivated by multiple needs simultaneously. And very few people are actually at constant self-actualization. Most people have moments of just peak experiences. And so, Karina, do you want to talk about how what values are and how they relate to this?
Yeah, so values are the motivating power of a person's actions and necessary to physical and physiological survival.
Great. So, Ben, why don't you start us off with your need?
All right, so I'm going to start off with physiological needs. So that pertains to biological requirements for human survival. So that's just breathing, sleeping, food, water, shelter, and clothing. So Maslow conducted that physiological needs are the most important, and all other needs are secondary until the physiological needs are met first. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because without the needs, you can't figure out a moral or an ethic first. Because you first have to realize it yourself.
Right, yeah, you definitely need food and water to be able to do anything else. You need basic nutrition and shelter and air.
Yeah, so an example would be, let's take somebody who lacks shelter. This will cause this person to have misjudgments, and it can cause stress, anxiety, and hindering of the ability to focus on other aspects of their care until they finally find shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And this can also be interpreted as dignity too, because I don't know about you guys, but I like having a roof over my head.
Right, a person can't have dignity if they don't have their basic needs.
Yeah, especially when you're by yourself in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you move out of your parents' house. What's the first thing you're gonna do?
Find a place to live.
Yeah.
Right, and then you need to look for sustainable food and water source.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's good clean air to breathe.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yes.
So the way I can also look at it is this way. If a person does not have a stable physiological needs, their morals and ethics are going to be different from everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say somebody who is in a rough home environment, their ethics could be bitter towards somebody who is more stable, almost resentful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So their morals would just be, no, I don't like this person just because they're stable.
They have something that you don't have.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like an example that I think of when I think of needing basic needs is there was that famous plane crash in the Alps, and the people had no food and water, so they were reverting back to more primal instincts like cannibalism because that was their last resort, and that would be undignified, like that they wouldn't have that value in that state.
Yeah.
That
So
they're in.
I'm going to go off that for a second and say, along with physiological needs, the core ethic value of physiological needs is the principle of non-maleficence, meaning the duty to avoid causing harm. This is essential to prevent suffering and maintain human life.
Mm-hmm.
So, for that example, all morality, all ethics go right out the door.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
'Cause
exactly.
their need for survival is food.
Yeah, and
first.
those are the most basic
Yeah,
needs.
almost primal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like animals.
Yeah.
They're constantly in search for food.
Yeah.
or shelter or water. So they don't ever come to self-actualization. Maybe monkeys, I don't know. They're like the most similar to us. But
Except they can't do this.
yeah, that's true. What do you call that?
Circumduction?
I think so, yes.
Well, isn't it manipulation? Like thumb manipulation?
I'm pretty sure it's circumduction.
Oh, okay.
I could be very wrong.
Isn't circumduction like circular motion?
Yeah, but I think it's like in the thumb though.
Okay.
There's something with that. I
Okay.
can't remember. But monkeys can't do this though.
Right.
Okay, so
Totally off topic there.
yeah, to go back to what you were saying then about say you have a poor person and they don't like a rich person because they don't have what they have.
Rich person. Let's go high class here.
Rich is pretty high class.
Yeah. I don't just say poor, just say low class.
Okay. Sorry.
That's a little mean.
Okay. So, say you have a low class person, and this low class person needs help. So, the rich person comes along and decides to be nice to help them. So that's gonna go a long way for the low class person, putting everything else aside that they obviously don't feel like they should be helping them, you know?
So what about middle class then?
Well, I was just gonna say that, like, a little bit of kindness goes a long way, and, like, that higher class person would feel good along with the lower class person because he was helped.
Right, like the act of kindness, like
Yeah.
the person who has more is giving to someone who has less. But the person who has nothing, who doesn't have the basic needs, doesn't have anything to give. So
Yeah.
they can't do that.
Yeah, like, you can't, like,
I see.
thank them in a way, but,
Mm-hmm.
like, just knowing that they helped would.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Then that delves into the psyche
Mm-hmm.
of that person's mind.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
I'm gonna go next because my need is safety and security, and that's next on the next block up from the basic needs. And safety and security, we feel the need for that because we want, as humans, to experience order, predictability, and control in our lives. And this need is usually fulfilled by family and society. And examples are like having police, schools, businesses, and medical care facilities. So people can have safety and security through employment, law and order, social and emotional security, property, health, and well-being. And I'm going to connect this need to the moral pillar of freedom. And freedom is defined as the quality of being free to make choices for oneself within the boundaries of law. When a person experiences safety and security, they have the freedom to make choices about their lives. And examples would be choices concerning having a family, what to do with their finances, where to work, where to go to school, and what medical care people receive. And an example in the real world that occurred is, like, I think of like enslaved people. They are, like in the past I'm speaking of slavery, those people were given the basic needs of food and water and shelter and clean air to breathe by the people who owned them, but they didn't have safety and security, so they didn't have freedom to make choices about their lives. They didn't know when they were going to be shipped off somewhere else. They didn't know, what they were going to be made to do, or what their, their owner, I guess the word would be, would hurt them, or, that's obviously not meeting safety and security, so then they couldn't necessarily go on to, like, the next levels. Some of them maybe had relationships, but, like, they couldn't have families. They couldn't go off and have their own home or get a job where they wanted. That was, where they got
So they
paid.
would just be stuck in that tier then.
Right, they wouldn't be able to move up the tier.
Right.
So,
I see.
yeah.
No, I thought you explained that very well. That explains that entire tier of safety and security.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like even in today's society, we're always thinking about our own safety and security, especially with a couple of the wars going on. too.
Right. Mm-hmm. But most of us have,
Yeah.
a job, a home, families. We have police and hospitals. So having all of that from our society and our family allows us to then be able to go on to the next tier, which is love and belonging, and then esteem, and then self-actualization.
I see. Yeah, because realistically, a person needs every tier
Mm-hmm.
to live a.
To live a good life.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ideal life.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we jump up and down based on what we're going through
Mm-hmm.
in that certain season of our life. But
And what's
I agree.
going on
overall, we should be growing and moving up, I would hope. That's
Yeah.
ideally. So,
All right. So thanks, Leah.
you're welcome.
To skip a tier and go to self-esteem, you have to have the basic needs met, like physiological and security. So I'm going to talk about the need of self-esteem. So my moral pillar was achievement. So for example, is when you are driven to a job you like and you have an interview, but then you don't get it, so now you have a setback, but you still remain committed to getting a job because, that's how we have to live sometimes. So, this would commit to the development of, achievement is you create an experience with the sense of accomplishment and satisfaction after you get the job.
Mm-hmm.
So, that really, after you get the job, you see, your self-esteem is high,
Right.
and you're like, wow, I just did that.
Right.
So,
Yeah, for yours, I think a lot of setting goals to achieve. So once you have those lower needs met, you're then able to set goals and work towards them because you don't persevere because you don't have to worry about the other things. You don't have to worry about your safety and your food and your basic needs.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Setting goals and making achievements in your life.
Yeah, because first you want to set up a long-term goal and then a couple of short-term goals.
Mm-hmm. Right, definitely. I think of maybe someone who wants to run a marathon. They're like, all right, I'm going to set a goal, and you have to practice, and you have to be able to have that. What's the word? The time and the money and the energy to be able to pursue that goal. And then once you do it, then you have a feeling of achievement and satisfaction, and then you can move up the ladder into self-actualization. Maybe once you actually complete that marathon, then you're living in self-actualization for a moment before you come back down and start new goals and start the cycle over again.
So I feel like life is just one big cycle.
Yeah, it is. I mean, sometimes you have highs and you have lows,
Yeah.
and sometimes other needs are more vital than others, and that's when our values kick in. What are we valuing in that season of our life, that moment?
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that. And it all just comes back to your own morals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we all have our own morals and values that drive us
Mm-hmm.
and make us act the way we do and, behave certain ways.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks.